Hello, my name is Susan Burry, and I want to thank Beverly for inviting me to the Health and Wellbeing Conference. I work for Public Health in Jersey as the Health and Wellbeing Dietitian. I started here 2 years ago to help Public Health with their obesity strategy. I did a lot of work in the schools, helping children and families live healthier lives. But since the schools have been public social distancing, though that job is sort of changed a lot, and a lot of it's gone online. But today I'm here to talk to you more about corporate wellness in my other part of my job, which is my private business. I do a lot of work online for corporations, both internationally and here in Jersey, to help employees stay healthy during these difficult times. The background of today's slides about nutrition and well-being at the office is what we eat and drink does affect a number of parts of our lives, which is our health, how we think, feel, and behave, including functioning at work. Up to 60% of eating and drinking takes place at work, so that's a huge potential impact, both at work and now working from home. It even has a higher impact. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about research and the evidence about nutrition while at work. I'm going to talk about quick and easily and effective nutrition tips to put into practice while you're in the office or when you're working from home, a few useful resources, and then a little bit more information from working from home, things that I've learned since doing corporate wellness since March. We all have days when we work better than others. But is there anything we can do to influence this? Have you thought, well, today, I had no energy in the middle of the afternoon. Have you thought, well, maybe that's related to your food or hydration? Next, I'm going to talk about fluid. Have you drank enough at the office? You want to optimize your nutritional intake. You want to consider carbohydrates because our brain uses carbohydrates as the main source of fuel. Do you use lunch breaks to refresh and refuel, or are you like a lot of employees now working at home and you're skipping your lunch break because you think you're too busy at the office? And then snacking. Are you snacking smartly when you're at home? So the evidence is that the majority of people that were surveyed, of 800 people in the UK, they've struggled with their weight during lockdown. So that's just since March. This is, it's been shown there's more snacking since March. Eating due to stress, anxiety that's happening with the pandemic, people seems to be more stressed. So then sometimes they're reacting with improper eating, or there's less time exercising. In the past, people probably commuted to work, they walked to work, so now they're not walking or they're working too much, so they're exercising less. Hence, that's related to increasing their weight. And I want to just add in some of my experience since March, some anecdotal things that I've noticed. Parents are struggling at home. When we had lockdown, or in some countries around the world, they're still in lockdown. They're trying to work full time. They're trying to cook more, and they're trying to homeschool their children. So of course, that's a little bit of a challenge. People are less exercising. Some gyms are closed, and then they're commuting less. Luckily in Jersey, our gyms are open right now, so that's a good thing here. More snacking, especially in the afternoons or in the evening. People are getting bored, and a lot of times they don't have a separate room or an office, so they're going to their kitchen because probably working in their kitchen. And they're stress eating, or sometimes people are drinking a little bit more alcohol to deal with the stress. Meanwhile, the obesity is a health concern. If you do end up with COVID, you're at higher risk for severe consequences of COVID if you're obese before you get the virus. So first, I'm going to talk about fluid, and then I'm going to talk about nutrition. The brain has a high water content, so dehydration can impact on our structure and the function of our brain. Mild dehydration, 1 to 2% body loss, can impair cognitive processes, working memory, learning, understanding, concentration, decision making, performance, and mood. It increases errors at work and increases fatigue if you're dehydrated. It can cause headaches as well, which is not a good thing. And good hydration can help prevent all of these negative effects. How it affects work performance. Drivers in the lab stimulation, it was dehydrated drivers were twice as many errors than properly hydrated people. This equivalent impairment to upper legal limit of blood alcohol. So that's amazing. You think that people have just as high impairment over dehydration than having too much blood alcohol. In some pilots, the cognitive performance and spatial judgment impaired during flight. Hospital doctors and nurses, 45% dehydration at the end of a shift. So that would affect their cognition and short-term memory were impaired. So you don't want these things to happen because you're dehydrated. This just shows a number of the negative effects if you're not drinking enough at work. The risk of dehydration, the air conditioning in the offices, or now probably the heat systems, your hot environment, protective clothes, that's even more pronounced now because we all have to wear PPE equipment in some of our offices. Limited access to the outdoors, not taking breaks. A lot of people do sit in front of their computers. And what I've seen today in the last few months is that people are just working completely, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours long without taking any breaks or any drinks. Long hours at the computer, that's bad as well, and we need to replace the fluid losses throughout all this. This is just a sign that you can put up in your office or something for you to use. It relates to your thirst and your urine color. So really your urine should be like a straw color. If you go by the chart here, if it's too clear, you're probably overhydrated. If it's too yellow, that means that you're overhydrated. So this is something that I put in our office here in Jersey just for staff to see if they're overhydrated or dehydrated, but obviously most people were dehydrated. How much do we need? So some fluid comes from the food that we eat, but really we need 6 to 8 ounces or 200 mugs of glasses a day. So that's around 2 liters, more in a hot and dry environment or if you're physically active at work or in breaks. Alcohol doesn't contribute to the total, sadly, so that would take away from the total. Water, just tap water or bottled water is fine. You could add a slice of lemon or lime just to flavor it up because a lot of people don't like the flavor of water. Plenty of other drinks count too. Fizzy drinks, squash, flavored water can be high in sugar, so you want to watch out for those. You don't want to have too many of those. Tea, herbal tea, or coffee, if you have a couple of those, they would equal with the 8 glasses a day, but over 1 or 2 is too many. Milk is okay, and fruit juices and smoothie can count for 1 of the 5 a day. Just a little bit about caffeine. You don't want to have too much caffeine. Intakes up to 400 mils a day is not dehydrating, so as I just mentioned, you can have 1 or 2 cups of tea or coffee a day, which is okay, but if you have more than 400, well then it's dehydrating. Coffee increases alertness and reduces sleepiness. So a lot of people are finding it tough to sleep these days during COVID, so you don't want to have too much caffeine. It's probably best to have caffeine up until about noon and then not to have it after that. Caffeine can also increase anxiety, irritability, and sleep disturbances in some people that are susceptible. Here's just a table of some coffee, tea, or other beverages, and it shows the amount of caffeine in some of the beverages so that you just know how much caffeine are in things. So really, how do we fit in all this water throughout the day? You want to have at least 4 or 5 drinks in your workday. On the desk, you could have a water bottle, you could have a glass that you keep refilling, or every regular break that you have, try to have a glass. Reminders, there's lots of apps online you can do, maybe called like Daily Water is one that I know, or you can have an alarm on your phone. That may sound really simple, but sometimes we do need reminders. Just make it easy as possible to have water throughout the day. Have a jug around, have a cooler. So next I'm going to go on and talk about nutrients. So we really want to optimize our nutritional intake when we're at work or when we're working from home. The brain needs a variety of nutrients for us to work our best. 20% of our daily energy or calories, that's what's used from our brain. Especially now we're working at home, we're doing a lot more video counseling. That even takes more energy. All these Zoom sessions, our brain is working harder. This is what the current research shows, so that we do need lots of nutrients to help with this. In particular, we require the B group of vitamins or minerals such as iron, zinc, iodine, and omega-3 fatty acids. The only supplement that I would really recommend, unless you think your diet is really poor, is vitamin D. Especially now, a lot of us are working from home. We're not getting out and seeing our lovely sunshine. You want to take a vitamin D supplement now, starting from now, October till May, but especially because we're not getting outside. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Eat Well guide. It just shows the variety of foods that we have to have, a balanced diet, and there's some key food groups. We want to make sure that we're eating the same proportion of the plate that's shown on this slide. So we want to talk a little bit about carbohydrates. Our brain uses glucose, which is from carbohydrates, as fuel for our normal function, and that's what we need to get through the busy day. Breakfast, going to talk a little bit about, that's a key meal providing carbohydrate foods such as cereal, bread, milk, and fruit. We want to have that to make sure we have enough carbohydrates to get us through our busy day. Our breakfast tops up energy stores used in overnight fasting for our morning activities. Breakfast eaters tend to have better overall nutrition intakes. Whole grains in particular are a good source of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. And as I mentioned, video conferencing does take more energy, so we want to make sure we're eating properly and not just having, we want to make sure we're having nutrient-dense foods. A little bit more about breakfast. Breakfast consumption compared with skipping has positive benefits across the morning. Can reduce declines in short-term memory, attention and concentration. It helps with our reaction time and executive function, so reasoning, learning, problem solving, planning. All of those things will be improved if you eat breakfast. A study, real-life performance in 800 nurses, compared those consuming daily breakfast with those who skipped. Breakfast eaters had fewer mistakes in the hospitals, fewer minor accidents and injuries at work, and lower stress. In the UK population, 50% rarely had time to eat breakfast, 10% never had it, 55% regularly ate breakfast out of the home, so in coffee shops, at work, or while traveling. So sometimes if you're having breakfast at a coffee shop, you're probably not choosing the healthy option. So here's a few tips to help with your breakfast. Try to include at least 3 of the 4 main food groups from the Eat Well guide. Breakfast should provide around 20% of your daily nutrition intake. So that would be around 400 calories for an adult female. So that probably seems a bit high for some people, but you don't want to have 400 calories, such as if you have a sweetened latte or something at a coffee shop. You want to have something that can sustain your energy. So that would be like whole grain cereal or porridge with low-fat milk or some fruit. So fresh, frozen, or canned or dried fruit, they're all fine. Baked beans or poached eggs on whole grain or granary bread with some fruit juice is another good option. Or a filled bagel or English muffin with fruit or yogurt. That's just some practical things for breakfast. If you're in a rush, grab something easy, such as yogurt with muesli or berries, malt loaf, currant bun, or fruit bread with a low-fat yogurt. A lot of times what I'll do, I have overnight oats or overnight chia pudding. That's easy. It's already made for me in the morning. So if I got to grab and take it to the office, that's what I do. Or you can make a packed breakfast the night before, like I just mentioned. Keep some healthy breakfasts at work if you're still in the office. Some whole grain cereal, some lower sugar whole grain cereal bars, things like that. If you don't want to have something first thing in the morning, try to eat within 2 hours of getting up. So if you don't want to eat first thing, you want to have your coffee or water first, then always try to follow up within an hour or two. Or if you want to eat outside because you don't have time, choose outlets that probably have a little bit of fewer healthy choices. Then we move on to lunch. So how about a lunch break? Here's a little bit of evidence. 52% of people in one study never leave the office for lunch. So that's quite high. Over half the amount of people never leave the office. 24% regularly work through their lunch, which is not a good thing either. You do need to get away from your desk, get some fresh air. Here's a little bit of research about people taking lunch break or not taking a lunch break. One study showed that 52% of people never leave the office for lunch. 24% regularly work through the lunch break. So those numbers are quite high. It's not a good thing to eat in front of your desk or try to work through your lunch break. That's the opposite of mindful eating, and that's something that we should be doing. Bupa did a study of 2,000 full-time workers. 30% ate at their desk, and 40% carried on dealing with emails or calls over their lunch break. Many said skipping lunch break leaves them less productive or puts them in a bad mood for the afternoon. So that's obviously not a good thing. Why did they skip their meals? Workload. They felt stressed. They felt they didn't have time, lack of time to cover or know where to go. Office culture, colleagues didn't break, so they felt because other people weren't taking a lunch. Or the other thing, people book meetings. So what I'm finding with my corporate employees now, they're doing everything by video. So I do suggest to them, book in a meeting at lunchtime, just called your lunch break. But their coworkers are then putting meetings in at the same time. So you really want to try to take control of your schedule, so you do take a lunch break. The benefits of taking a lunch break give you a chance to refresh, stay alert, focused, and performing at your best all day. It offers a chance to refuel your brain and top up on nutrients. Shorter lunch breaks associated with less healthy food choices. So really the smaller amount of time you had for lunch, that was positively correlated with unhealthy foods. So you really want to make sure you take a proper lunch break. Research shows that breaks can improve well-being, reduce stress and fatigue, and improve performance, especially if involving nature or light relaxation. So that could probably mean going out for lunch so you actually get a walk in as well. An active break can help counteract the effects of prolonged sitting linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, some cancers, obesity, and back pain. So you really want to take an active lunch break. It can reduce the risk of repetitive injury and improve posture. I have some online colleagues that have actually getting issues with their leg or with their back because they're sitting down too much. Especially since March, since people are working from home, they're sitting down too much, and they're starting to have physical problems now because they're not getting up. Shared meal times can promote positive relationships and boost rapport between team members. It's a little bit more challenging these days because a lot of us are not working in an office, but still, if you could just go with a friend or something like that, that would help as well. So team lunches or walking or running clubs at lunchtime is a really great idea as well. It's a bit more motivating if you're meeting people. The next section is about snacking, and I wanted to put the percent of people in Jersey, of the adults that are having their 5 a day. Of course, most of you know what the UK 5-a-day public health recommendation is. You should have 5 fruits and vegetables every day. So as you can see from these graphs, of all the different age groups, very few people, the majority are not having their 5 a day. So we can use these statistics to try to help promote people having fruit in their afternoon snack. 75% of UK adults snack at least once a day, and 10% snack three times a day. I don't have research now since lockdown, but snacking from all my online clients has gone way up. It can be positive and nutritious. It can be used for brain fuel and provide other nutrients. So the key to healthy snacking is to choose properly and have the right portion sizes. So the food group you're not doing well at, you can take a look at and maybe try to add that food into your afternoon snack. Some ideas. Fruit is always good. You can always have fruit on the table next to you. Nuts and seeds are good, but again, we don't have too many nuts or seeds because they're quite high in fat. We can have low-fat yogurt and fruit. We can have crackers such as oat or rice cakes, or veggie sticks with cottage cheese or hummus. Hummus is one of my favorites. I actually got an idea from an online client last week for chocolate hummus. So I actually made chocolate hummus last week. So that's a really great snack. Hummus with vegetables, lower sugar, and whole grain cereal bars. That's just a few ideas to have for an afternoon snack. What you don't want to have is a lot of unhealthy snacks around, because if they're there, you will have them. For portion control, look at individually wrapped mini sizes of snacks, or if you're making your own snacks, put them in little containers, such as nuts. Have a little container for your nuts instead of having the entire bag of nuts on your desk. Stress or hunger pains can encourage to reach for less nutritious snacks. So you don't want to go too long without eating. A lot of my employees that I help nutrition coaching, they go too long without eating. They have a lunch break and then they have dinner. So sometimes they may go 6 or 7 hours without eating. So that's not the best thing, because then they tend to snack just before their dinner, or they overeat at dinner. Is there a danger time with you? A lot of people, it's like 4 o'clock, they have an afternoon slump. That's quite common. Or it could be the mid-morning. Plan your day. Keep healthy snacks in your bag, on your drawer, your office fridge, or now in your kitchen if you're working from home. Try to keep higher fat, higher sugar cakes, biscuits, crisps, and chocolates as an occasional treats, not as a regular thing. You don't want to have them every day. You want to have those occasionally. But if they're there on the counter and you're going a long time without eating, you probably will have those. So just a little bit of an overview. The right foods and drinks at the right times is important. Take appropriate breaks. Fluid, make sure you drink enough. Optimize nutrient-dense foods. Consider carbohydrates as the brain fuel. Use lunch breaks or refresh and refuel, and snack smart. So this is just an example of how you could plan your day. You could start your day with a breakfast. You could have a mid-morning snack, and there's some suggestions there on the slide. You have your lunch, your mid-afternoon snack, and then your dinner if you're still at work or later in the day. I added this slide in because I know you probably know a lot about this nutrition already, but it's about making positive changes. I put this slide in, it's about goal setting. It's called SMART goal setting. That's really important. If you want to make healthy choices in your lifestyle, you could use this example. You'll see a lot of things online. Do this for 30 days, do that for 30 days. Go for a walk every day. That's really hard, that's really challenging. So come up with a goal that's SMART, which means it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's time specific. Which means I will take a daily lunch break to refuel or refresh. It doesn't mean I'm going to eat better. That is not a SMART goal at all. I'll bring a portion of oily fish once a week to my lunchbox. That's specific, is measurable. I will drink 5 cups of fluid during the day at work. I will choose a fresh fruit at the afternoon snack 3 days a week. Or it could be about exercise. 10,000 steps is what we should be doing for our health. If you're not at 10,000 steps a day, it's no good to say, well, I'm going to start doing 10,000 steps every day starting tomorrow. If you're at 3,000 steps a day, maybe try to go to 5,000 starting tomorrow. So hopefully these will give you some positive ideas. or some suggestions about making some healthier eating goals. I wanted to add in some resources. This is the BDA Work Ready program it's what I've been trained on for corporate wellness. And we have a 5-day well-being planner that you'll see there, but I did put the link on the slide if you want to take a look at that. There's lots of BDA food fact sheets on different topics, and I have the link there. And one of my favorite meal planning sites is BBC Good Food for healthy recipes, if you want some recipes. Because some of my employees that I'm doing nutrition coaching for, you know, they're cooking a lot more, so they just need some ideas. So I put that resource there as well. So practical ideas, since a lot of people are working from home. You want to balance protein, carbohydrates, and fat in every meal and every snack. So just don't have a meal or a snack that has carbohydrates. You want to balance it with fat and protein to keep your energy up throughout the day. Eat every 3 or 4 hours. Put in a schedule for food and your lunch walk. Moderate carbs, less than 50% of your calories are due to carbs. So we don't want to have too high in carbs because that give you a slump in the afternoon. Walk and talk. If you want to have a staff meeting or meet with a coworker, just go for a walk at lunchtime or in the afternoon and talk while you're walking. Video calls, if you're doing a lot of video calls, you could take them on your phone. If you don't need the computer in front of you or you don't need to be on video during Zoom, take the call on your phone, go out for a little walk around. And control your calendar. A lot of people leave their calendar open all day and then people book in meetings. You want to make sure your calendar is booked so that you have like a health break or a lunch break or even like a walk break. So I hope you found that helpful and some practical ideas of keeping healthy during work. There's two contacts I put there. This is my public health email if you want any information from the government, from public health around nutrition. And that's my private practice email there if you want any more information about corporate well-being.